The midnight shift at Earth's Deep Space Monitoring Station was usually quiet. Most nights, Dr. James Parker would sit at his desk, sip his coffee, and watch the steady stream of normal space signals flow across his screens. 30 years of watching the stars had taught him to expect little excitement during these hours. But this night was different. It started with a small blip on Monitor 3, the one pointed toward the outer edges of the solar system. At first, James thought it was just another piece of space junk, maybe an old satellite or a stray asteroid. He almost ignored it. Almost. But something about the signal pattern caught his eye. It wasn't random. It wasn't natural. It was counting. James sat up straight, his coffee forgotten. He adjusted his glasses and leaned closer to the screen. The signal was sending numbers, but not just any numbers. It was broadcasting the first 1,000 prime numbers in sequence, followed by the mathematical constant pi to 1,000 digits. "This is impossible," he whispered to himself, his hand shaking as he typed commands into his computer. The signal was coming from the Kuiper Belt, that distant region of space where only ice and rock should exist. He reached for his phone and dialed the emergency number he never had to use before. "This is Dr. Parker at Station 7, he said, his voice steady despite his racing heart. "Wake up the director. We've got a first contact situation." Within an hour, the quiet monitoring station transformed into a hub of activity. Scientists rushed in, still wearing their pajamas under their lab coats. Computer experts brought in extra equipment. The military sent their top space communication experts. They all gathered around James's monitor, watching as more of the signal decoded itself. It wasn't just math anymore. Hidden within the numbers was a message, and it became clearer with each passing minute. "Help." The message read when they finally decoded it. "Fleet stranded. Critical system failure. 30 ships. 100,000 souls aboard. Power failing. Please assist." Director Roberts, a tall woman with gray hair and sharp eyes, stood at the back of the room, arms crossed. "Could it be a hoax?" she asked. James shook his head. "The signal's coming from actual ships. Our deep space telescopes just confirmed it. 30 massive vessels, each one bigger than anything humans have ever built. They're out there, Director. And they're asking for our help." The room fell silent. Humanity had always wondered if they were alone in the universe. Now they had their answer, but it hadn't come with a friendly visit or a peaceful exchange of knowledge. It had come with a cry for help. More data poured in as the alien ships sent detailed information about their situation. Their advanced propulsion systems had been damaged by an unexpected surge of quantum radiation. Their backup systems were failing. Without help, the fleet would drift into the deadly outer darkness of space. "But why us?" someone asked. "We're not even a space-faring civilization yet. We've barely reached Mars." James pointed to another decoded message that had just appeared. "According to this, they've sent distress calls to 12 other advanced civilizations. None responded. We're their last hope." Director Roberts walked to the front of the room and faced her team. "Ladies and gentlemen, what we do next will define humanity's first steps into a larger universe. These beings chose to reach out to us, even though we're less advanced. They need our help. The question is, are we going to give it to them?" The answer came from a young technician in the back. "We have to try it, don't we? It's what humans do." Around the room, heads nodded in agreement. In that moment, no one thought about the impossibility of the task ahead. No one mentioned that humanity had never attempted anything close to this scale. They only thought about the 100,000 lives waiting for help in the cold darkness of space. Director Roberts smiled. "Get me the space agency and the UN. Tell them." She paused, looking at the signal still blinking on the screen. "Tell them humanity just got its first job interview with the galaxy." Captain Anna Miller stood at the window of the space agency's main conference room, watching the sunrise over the launch facility. 3 massive rescue ships sat on the pads below, their metal shells gleaming in the morning light. They weren't pretty, Each one looked like a cross between a tugboat and a mining vessel, but they were humanity's best hope for saving the stranded alien fleet. "Captain Miller," a voice called from behind her. "They're ready for you." She turned to face a room full of the world's top officials, military leaders, scientists, politicians, all waiting to hear how she planned to save 100,000 alien lives with technology that, by galactic standards, was barely better than steam engines. "Tell us, Captain," General Thompson said, his voice gruff but not unkind. "Why should we send you on this mission? There are pilots with more experience, commanders with more degrees." Anna smiled. She'd been expecting this question. Walking to the center of the room, she pulled an old pocket watch from her jacket. It had belonged to her grandfather, a ship captain who'd saved countless lives during storms at sea. "See this watch?" She held it up. "It's over 100 years old. No fancy electronics, no computer chips. Just gears and springs. But it still works perfectly. Want to know why?" She paused, making eye contact with each person in the room. "Because sometimes the simplest solutions are the most reliable." She placed the watch on the table and pressed a button on the wall. A hologram appeared, showing the stranded alien ships. "Those vessels out there, they're amazing pieces of technology. But right now, all that advanced equipment is failing them. They need something different, something reliable, something human." The room was silent, all eyes fixed on her as she continued. "I spent 15 years rescuing stranded ships in Earth's orbit. Mining vessels lost in asteroid fields, space stations damaged by debris. Every mission was different, but they all had one thing in common. They required creative thinking and practical solutions." She pointed to the images of her modified rescue ships. "These vessels aren't pretty, but they're tough. We've reinforced them with everything we've learned from deep-sea rescue operations. The aliens might have ships that can bend space, but we have something just as valuable. Centuries of experience saving people from impossible situations." An older scientist raised his hand. "But Captain, their ships are massive. Each one is larger than anything we've ever built. How can we possibly move them?" Anna's eyes lit up. She pressed another button, and the hologram changed to show her rescue plan. "By thinking like humans, we're not going to try to match their technology. We're going to use basic physics, the same principles that helped us build the pyramids and launch the first rockets." She explained her plan, using simple diagrams and clear examples. The room watched as she showed how Earth's primitive rescue ships could work together, using reinforced cables and synchronized movements to gradually guide the alien vessels to safety. "The aliens have already told us that 12 advanced civilizations ignored their distress call," she said, her voice firm. "They ignored it because their advanced technology told them the rescue was impossible. But humans, we've built our entire civilization on doing the impossible." General Thompson leaned forward. "And if you fail?" "Then we fail trying to save 100,000 lives." Anna replied without hesitation. "And we show the galaxy that humanity will always answer a call for help, no matter the odds." The room fell quiet again, but this time it was different. The doubt had been replaced by something else. Hope, determination, pride. Director Roberts, who had been silent until now, stood up. "I've received messages from every major space agency on Earth. They've all pledged their support. Captain Miller, you have 3 weeks to prepare your crew and ships. Humanity is counting on you." Anna nodded, picking up her grandfather's watch. As she looked at its simple, reliable mechanics, she smiled. Sometimes the old ways were the best ways. And maybe, just maybe, that's exactly what those stranded aliens needed. A reminder that the simplest solution could be the right one. 3 weeks, she said. "We'll be ready." The main workshop of the space agency buzzed with activity as engineer Tom Reed stood before a massive blueprint spread across the table. Around him, dozens of engineers and technicians worked on different parts of what the media had started calling the impossible rescue. "It's like trying to pull a cruise ship with rowboats," someone muttered from the back of the room. Tom looked up from his drawings and grinned. Actually, it's more like pulling 30 cruise ships with 3 rowboats through a hurricane in space. He paused. But that's what makes it fun. Captain Miller walked in, carrying fresh coffee for the team. They'd been working nonstop for 2 weeks, modifying the rescue ships for their mission. The clock was ticking. They had only 7 days left before launch. "How's the new towing system coming along?" she asked, handing Tom a cup. He pointed to a complex series of cables and winches displayed on the blueprint. "We're using deep-sea rescue cables as a base, but we've reinforced them with a new metal alloy developed for space elevators. Each cable can hold 10 times the weight of anything we've ever built." "Will it be enough?" Anna asked, studying the drawings. Tom walked over to a computer simulation running on the wall. "The aliens sent us their ship's specifications. Each vessel is about 2 miles long and weighs more than anything humans have ever moved. But..." He pressed a button, and the simulation showed 3 human rescue ships working together. "We're not going to pull them all at once." The simulation demonstrated their plan. The 3 rescue ships would work in sequence, like a team of ants moving something much larger than themselves. They would attach to specific points on each alien vessel, using the modified cables to distribute the load. "The real genius," Tom said, pointing to another diagram, "is in the winch system. We've combined old fishing boat technology with modern space materials. Each winch can adjust its tension automatically, responding to any movement or strain. It's like having a whole crew of experienced sailors handling the ropes, but it's all controlled by computers." Anna watched the simulation run again. "And you're sure the ships can handle the stress?" Tom nodded, leading her to a nearby workbench, where pieces of their new equipment lay spread out. "We've built everything with triple redundancy. If any part fails, there are 2 backups ready to take over. Plus..." He picked up what looked like a simple mechanical handle. "Everything can be operated manually if needed. No fancy computers required." "Old school," Anna smiled, remembering her pocket watch. "Exactly. The aliens' problem is that their technology is too advanced. When their main systems failed, everything failed. Our equipment might not be as sophisticated, but it's reliable. And if something breaks, we can fix it with a wrench." Their conversation was interrupted by an alert from the main screen. New data was coming in from the stranded fleet. The aliens' power systems were failing faster than expected. They had less time than they thought. "How much longer?" Anna asked, reading the data. 5 weeks at most," Tom replied, his face serious. "After that, their life support systems will start failing." Anna looked around the workshop at her team, all of them working tirelessly to save beings they'd never met. "Then we'd better not be late." Over the next week, the final preparations moved at an incredible pace. The rescue ships were fitted with their new equipment, each piece tested and retested. The crews trained day and night, running simulations of every possible problem they might face. On the night before launch, Tom found Anna in the observation room, looking up at the stars. "Having second thoughts?" he asked. She shook her head. "Just thinking about what my grandfather used to say about rescue missions. He said the most important tool isn't in your toolbox. It's the determination to keep trying until you succeed." Tom looked at the rescue ships on the launch pad below, their modified equipment gleaming under the floodlights. They weren't the most advanced ships in the galaxy, but they carried humanity's greatest strengths: creativity, determination, and the unwillingness to give up when lives were at stake. "Well," he said, "we've got plenty of that." Anna smiled. Tomorrow, they would launch into space to attempt the impossible. But tonight, she felt nothing but confidence. After all, doing the impossible was a human specialty. After 3 weeks of travel through the solar system, the human rescue fleet finally reached the edge of the Kuiper Belt. The 3 ships, Hope, Atlas, and Pioneer, slowed their approach as the massive alien vessels came into view. "They're beautiful," Captain Miller whispered, standing at the main viewport of the Hope. The alien ships looked like giant silver leaves, each one catching the distant sunlight and spreading it in rainbow patterns across their hulls. Even damaged and powerless, they were far more advanced than anything humans had ever built. "Captain," called out the communications officer, "we're receiving a transmission from the alien fleet." The main screen lit up, and for the first time in human history, mankind came face to face with an alien being. The creature had smooth, pearl-colored skin that seemed to glow from within. Its large eyes were deep blue, and patterns of light moved across its face like gentle waves. "I am Commander Bright of the Brightborn Fleet," the alien said, its words automatically translated by the communications system they had set up during their weeks of message exchange. We did not expect you to actually come." Anna stepped forward. "Captain Anna Miller of the Earth Rescue Fleet. We received your distress call. We're here to help." The alien commander's face showed an expression that might have been surprise. "But you are." It paused, searching for the right words. "You are so young. Your ships are so simple. The other civilizations we contacted, far more advanced than yours, said this rescue was impossible." Tom Reed, standing next to Anna, couldn't help but smile. "With all due respect, Commander, humans have a different definition of impossible." Over the next few hours, the human crews got their first close look at the alien ships. The damage was worse than they had expected. The quantum drives that powered the vessels were completely dead, and the backup systems were failing one by one. The Brightborn's advanced technology, usually self-repairing, had been overwhelmed by the strange radiation that had hit them. "We don't understand," one of the alien engineers said as they showed the humans their engine rooms. "Our systems should have adapted. They should have found a solution." Tom studied the alien technology with fascination. "Sometimes the most advanced solution isn't the best solution," he said. "When was the last time your people had to fix something manually?" The alien engineer looked confused. "Fix something manually? But that's so primitive." "Primitive doesn't mean ineffective," Tom replied. He pulled out a simple wrench from his toolkit. "Sometimes the old ways work best." As the human crews began setting up their rescue equipment, the Brightborn watched with a mixture of curiosity and concern. The cables and winches seemed impossibly crude to them, but they had no choice but to trust these strange humans and their primitive methods. "Your species," Commander Bright said to Anna as they watched the preparations, "you are different from the others we've met. The advanced civilizations, they think only in terms of their technology. But you, we think in terms of problems and solutions." Anna finished. "Sometimes the solution is high-tech. Sometimes it's as simple as a pulley and rope. What matters is getting the job done." The commander's skin rippled with patterns of light. "When we sent our distress call to Earth, some of my crew thought it was a waste of time. They said a species that hadn't even colonized their own solar system couldn't possibly help us." The alien turned its deep blue eyes to Anna. "I am glad they were wrong." As the day ended, both human and alien crews worked side by side, preparing for the rescue attempt. The humans taught the Brightborn how to operate the manual backup systems, while the aliens shared their knowledge of the dangerous space conditions they would face. Looking out at the mixed crews working together, Anna thought about how far humanity had come. Their first contact with alien life hadn't come through war or trade or diplomatic meetings. It had come through a simple act of helping those in need. "Maybe," she thought, "that's the best way to introduce ourselves to the galaxy." The rescue operation had been running smoothly for 6 hours when everything went wrong. Tom Reed was checking the cable tensions on the Hope when the ship's warning systems suddenly blazed to life. "Captain," the sensor officer shouted from his station. "Massive solar flare detected. It's heading straight for us." Anna Miller rushed to the main viewport. In the distance, she could see it. A wall of deadly radiation rushing toward them like an invisible tsunami. The sun, as if angry at their rescue attempt, had just thrown one of the largest solar flares ever recorded directly at their position. "Time to impact," she demanded. 15 minutes, Captain. On the main screen, Commander Bright's face appeared, the patterns of light on their skin moving in frantic waves. Captain Miller, our ship's shields are already weakened. We cannot survive a direct hit from a flare of this magnitude. Anna looked at the tactical display. The alien fleet was like a group of wounded whales, too massive and damaged to move quickly. The human ships could escape in time, but that would mean leaving the Brightborn to die. She pressed the ship-wide communication button. All hands, this is the captain. We have a level 1 emergency. I need solutions, and I need them now. Tom was already running calculations on his tablet. Captain, the alien shield technology is more advanced than ours, but they don't have enough power to run them. Our shields are simpler, but they're working. What are you suggesting? He pointed to the cable system they had attached to the alien ships. These aren't just towing cables. They can conduct energy. If we reroute all power from our engines to our shields, then connect our shield systems to the alien ships through the cables, we could extend our shields around their vessels. Anna finished. It was crazy, dangerous, and probably impossible. In other words, it was perfectly human. All ships, new orders. Anna commanded. Reroute all available power to shields. Engineering. Modify the towing cables to carry our shield energy. We're going to protect these ships or die trying. The crews moved with desperate speed. On all 3 rescue ships, engineers worked to modify their equipment. The Brightborn, understanding the plan, helped where they could, their advanced knowledge of energy systems proving invaluable. 10 minutes to impact. Tom's hands flew over the control panel as he made the final adjustments. Captain, if we do this, we'll be stranded here too. We won't have enough power to get home. Anna nodded. One problem at a time, Tom. One problem at a time. 5 minutes. The modifications were complete. Anna took a deep breath and gave the order. Transfer shield power. Now. Energy flowed through the cables, creating a web of protection around both human and alien ships. On the sensors, they could see their shield bubble expanding, stretching to its absolute limit. 3 minutes. Commander Bright's voice came through the speakers. Captain Miller, even if this works, your ships will take severe damage. You don't have to sacrifice yourselves for us. Anna gripped her command chair as the flare approached. Commander, on Earth we have a saying, nobody gets left behind. 1 minute. The flare hit like a hammer of pure energy. The shields lit up brilliant blue, straining against the onslaught of radiation. Warning alarms screamed as systems throughout the ships were pushed far beyond their design limits. Hull temperature rising. Someone shouted, "Shield power at maximum." In space, there was no sound, but inside the ships, everyone could hear the groaning of metal and the whine of overloading systems. Minutes passed like hours as the flare battered their makeshift defense. Then, gradually, the sensors showed the radiation levels dropping. The flare was passing. Shield status. Anna asked, her voice hoarse. Holding, Captain. They're actually holding. The alien ships are protected. A cheer went up from both human and alien crews. They had done it. Against all odds, their improvised solution had worked. Tom checked his readings and laughed in disbelief. Captain, the energy transfer through the cables. It's actually helping to recharge some of the aliens' backup systems. We didn't just protect them. We're helping them heal. Anna smiled, looking out at the fleet they had just saved. Now they were all stranded together, but somehow she wasn't worried. After all, solving impossible problems was what humans did best. 2 days after surviving the solar flare, Captain Anna Miller sat in the Hope's observation room, staring at the swirling gravitational distortions that surrounded their ships. The same forces that had trapped the alien fleet now held both human and Brightborn vessels in their grasp. They had saved each other from the solar flare, but now they were all stuck together. She watched the strange patterns in space, remembering how her grandfather used to read the ocean currents. Sometimes, he'd said, what looks like your biggest problem can become your best solution. That's when she had her idea. Tom, she called over the intercom. Meet me in the planning room. And bring Commander Bright. 20 minutes later, Anna stood before a holographic display of their situation, facing a mixed group of human and alien engineers. We've been thinking about these gravitational distortions all wrong, she said, pointing to the swirling patterns. We've been fighting them, trying to pull against them. But what if we work with them instead? Tom leaned forward, his eyes studying the display. What do you mean, Captain? Anna picked up a pen and drew lines through the hologram, showing the paths of the distortions. Look at the pattern. It's like a river system with currents and eddies. On Earth, we used to move huge logs downstream by understanding how the river flowed. Commander Bright's skin flickered with interest. But these are not rivers, Captain Miller. These are complex quantum gravitational phenomena. The physics might be different, but the principle is the same, Anna replied. She turned to Tom. Remember those mining operations in the asteroid belt? How we used gravity assists to move heavy loads. Tom's eyes widened as he understood. A gravitational slingshot. We could use the distortions themselves to help pull the ships out. Over the next hour, they developed their plan. The 3 human rescue ships would position themselves at specific points around each alien vessel. Using their winch systems and the remaining power in their engines, they would time their pulls to match the gravitational waves. It's like surfing, Tom explained to the confused aliens. You don't fight the wave, you ride it. They spent another day calculating the exact timing. The Brightborn's advanced sensors could predict the gravitational patterns, while the humans' experience with space mining helped them plan the pulling sequence. Each ship needs to pull at precisely the right moment, Anna explained to her crew. Too early or too late, and we'll miss our window. We have to work together like a well-practiced dance team. When everything was ready, they decided to test their theory on the smallest of the alien ships. The 3 human vessels moved into position, their cables attached to carefully chosen points on the alien craft. All ships, report status, Anna called. Atlas, ready. Pioneer, standing by. She took a deep breath. Begin sequence on my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark. The winches began to turn, their simple but powerful mechanics working in perfect harmony. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then, slowly, the alien ship began to move. It's working, Tom shouted, watching his instruments. The gravitational current is actually helping us. Like skilled sailors catching the wind, they guided the alien ship through the distortions. Each pull was timed to match a gravitational wave, using the natural forces to help move the massive vessel. It was slow, careful work, but after 6 hours, the test ship cleared the distortion field. Commander Bright's face appeared on the main screen, the patterns on their skin glowing with joy. Captain Miller, your species continues to amaze us. Using natural phenomena to assist mechanical advantage. It's so simple, yet so brilliant. Anna smiled. Sometimes the best solutions are the ones right in front of us. We just have to be willing to look at our problems differently. They had proved their method worked. Now they just had to repeat it 29 more times, moving each massive ship one by one through the dangerous field of distortions. It will take weeks, Tom said, looking at the fleet spread out before them. Anna nodded, thinking of her grandfather's watch. Then we better get started. Those gravitational waves aren't going to right themselves. As the rescue ships moved into position for the next vessel, Anna felt a surge of pride. Humans might be new to the galactic community, but they had something valuable to offer. The ability to see solutions where others saw only problems. 3 months after the rescue mission began, the last alien ship cleared the gravitational distortion field. Captain Anna Miller stood on the bridge of the Hope, watching as the massive fleet regrouped in safe space. All 30 ships had made it, carrying their precious cargo of 100,000 souls. Final ship reports all systems stable, Tom announced from his station. His voice was tired but proud. They all were. The rescue crews had worked nonstop, moving ship after ship through the dangerous field, using their innovative gravitational surfing technique. The main screen lit up with Commander Bright's face. The alien leader's skin glowed with patterns that the humans had learned meant deep emotion. "Captain Miller," the commander said, "my people have no words to properly thank yours. When we sent our distress call to Earth, we had almost no hope. The advanced civilizations of the galaxy had abandoned us, saying our rescue was impossible." Anna smiled. "Impossible is just a word that hasn't met humanity yet, Commander." Indeed. The commander's skin rippled with what humans now recognized as laughter. "Which is why I have news for you. The Galactic Council has been observing our rescue operation." The screen split, showing another alien figure. This one had darker skin with gold patterns flowing across it. "I am High Counselor Dawn of the Galactic Council," the new alien said. "We have watched with great interest as your species accomplished what our most advanced civilizations claimed could not be done." Anna straightened in her chair. This was humanity's first contact with the galaxy's governing body. When the Brightborn fleet was stranded, the High Counselor continued, 12 advanced civilizations calculated that a rescue was impossible. They based this on their technology, their scientific understanding, and their accepted limitations. The aliens' eyes seemed to sparkle. "But you humans, you never calculated whether it was impossible. You simply asked how you could help." "It's what we do," Anna replied simply. "When someone needs help, we help. The how comes after." "And that," said High Counselor Dawn, "is why we are here. The Galactic Council has voted. We would like to offer humanity provisional membership in the Council, effective immediately." The bridge crew gasped. Tom dropped his tablet. "But we haven't even colonized our own solar system yet," Anna said, surprised. "We don't have quantum drives or advanced AI or—" "Captain Miller," Commander Bright interrupted gently, "you still don't understand. The Council isn't offering membership because of your technology. They're offering it because of your hearts, your minds, and your hands." The High Counselor nodded. "Your species has shown us something we had forgotten. That true advancement isn't measured by technology alone, but by the wisdom to use what you have to help others. Your primitive solutions work because you never stopped trying, never stopped thinking, never stopped caring." Anna looked around at her crew. Engineers who had worked until their hands bled, pilots who had flown impossible maneuvers for weeks on end, everyone who had given their all to save people they'd never met before. "We accept," she said, "and we look forward to learning from the Council. But," she smiled, "we also hope to teach a few things too." "Of that," said the High Counselor, "I have no doubt." As the alien ships prepared to escort the human rescue fleet back to Earth, Tom joined Anna at the viewport. "You know what this means?" he asked. "Everything changes now. We're part of something bigger." Anna pulled out her grandfather's old pocket watch, its simple mechanical heart still keeping perfect time. "Maybe," she said, "but I hope some things never change, like answering a call for help, no matter how far it comes from." She looked out at the stars, thinking about the future. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger universe, not through war or trade or technological advancement, but by doing what they did best, solving problems, helping others, and proving that nothing was truly impossible if you were willing to try. The watch ticked steadily in her hand, marking the beginning of humanity's new era among the stars.